Celebrating the 10th anniversary of Jurassic World, we are now taking a trip to Hawaii to speak with Audrey Chang and Cody Easterbrook as they detail their experiences being extras in the film.
So, Audrey, you got to be an extra on the ferry boat that takes tourists to Jurassic World, and you also got to be on the dock itself that the ferry arrives at, correct?
That's correct. It was like a childhood dream kind of coming true as an adult. um, it was an honor. It's any filming is always an honor to be there, even if you don't make the final cut. Just to experience what that atmosphere is like. You have to keep that in mind. That your goal for being a background artist is not necessarily to see your face on screen, even as a very fast blip. It's your goal is to enjoy it. And there's a lot of waiting around, as we've mentioned. So yeah, you really have to keep a positive attitude. But anyway, yeah, just that exposure. Not everyone gets to have that opportunity. Many have, but not everyone. Soak it in. Yeah, just go with it. And for us, we were paid. So that's a fail safe. At least we're getting that and some free food. By the way, viewers, this is being done in Hawaii. A lot of this filming on location is usually out in the nature picturesque landscape under the sun. Hawaii is near the equator. We are getting hot exposures, and with the climate change, yeah, it's hot, by the way. Yep. The big general casting call at Olelo, which one could call like a cattle call, because it's like a big herding of just a bunch of background actors in general before a production's gonna start filming. You should just always have an umbrella. It's not just for rain. It's actually also for sun. Yeah. When you're being a background actor on sets, on location, it's helpful to have some kind of shading umbrella or such.
How many days were you part of the filming for the ferry sequences?
2 3 days. Yeah, about one day per scene. You always have to allot for an entire day off because things change last minute. That's the nature of this business. Even our exact roles may change on the very day of, like, when you come on set.
What was the direction that was given to you? And like, did you get to interact with, Colin Trevorrow in any way, or like a second unit director, or what was that like?
Not Colin, no way. He's too good for us. You may see a glimpse of him, but if you speak to anybody, it'd be for direction. It'd be those ADs. For my scenes, I got to see the two main actors that we were with, which was the boys, Nick Robinson and Tyson Kids. We got to see them. For the dock scene, when everyone is already off the boat and walking towards the entrance of the theme park, there's the assistants to Bryce Dallas Howard's character, a woman holding up that sign. She was present that day too. But yeah, the main cast got to see them pass by. You might get to speak with them if you rack up the nerve and quickly like pass by them, as if you're getting a snack or you just happen to be sitting next to each other. Something really quick, because in Hawaii we are generally more considerate of everyone's personal space. I remember George Clooney saying that about Hawaii when he filmed The Descendants down here, that everyone was really respectful of his privacy. Didn't try to intrude obnoxiously for a photo or just say something. So yeah, we do all try to generally be like that, or at least locals. Yeah. But I got to speak to Ty Simpkins really briefly when we're filming scenes on the ferry further out in the ocean from the south of Oahu, so that we wouldn't get much of the islands in the background, looking like we're straight out at sea. Uh, as we were shuttling our way out, everyone was just waiting inside, hanging out. So I got to make some passing comments to him, something really brief. But yeah, they themselves, the cast and crew, most of them generally throughout other productions too that come down here are generally really nice, are really cool too. Since we are being cool to them, they being cool to us. I totally forgot to mention the big helicopter that we had flying around us when we filmed exterior aerial shots of the ferry. They were obviously done in the air, so it was a helicopter, and that that's another example of the value of this experience. We felt like paparazzi having this helicopter with a big ass camera pointed at us and trying to get all angles of our pretty faces. All the productions I did, that's one I had that was with that experience. The helicopter going around. Besides the exterior shot of the entire ferry boat, there were also a few closer shots of the two boys, Ty and Nick, as they're hanging out on the deck, looking out to sea, and with Nick Robinson's character checking out those two girls, little things like that.
It wasn't really too much of a set, right? Like that dock was already there. Obviously, the boat already existed. They didn't build a boat from scratch. So, apart from, I guess, like decals on everything, I think there was like a life raft that had Jurassic World kind of, put on there. Did you see anything else that kind of wasn't shown in the movie, or was everything pretty much on the screen that you got to experience?
Yeah, there weren't too many other things that didn't make it when we are off the boat and walking towards the entrance of the theme park. Along the pier, there were long poles of banners with greetings on them, the name of the bar, whatnot, in various languages to show the whole international affair of this location. Oh, so I have to say a prop that I was given was a digital camera also. Had batteries, and I thought it didn't have a memory card at first, but it turned out it did have an SD card in it. It was just really small, like 4 megabytes. So all I had to do was just slide the card out of the camera and take that home with me. And boom, yeah.
That's great. That's a very Dennis Nedry thing you did. Yeah, just like one of the other New Orleans extras, I kept calling them Nedry. So yeah, you're the Nedry in this case. You were incognito in the actual set doing this. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
just as Nedry.
Yes. Since I've had experience doing this before and after Jurassic World, I kind of knew all some tips to take to try to make my experience more comfortable, as well as pull a Nedry, such as the outfit that I wore, which is this same dress. It has pockets.
Oh, nice.
and it's a flowy structure, so it does not highlight any shapes like a smartphone that might be tucked in, which I did make good efforts to not whip out, since since you're not supposed to. So I'd only pull it out to secretly message about all the hype with some other friends like Charlie. Dude, it's so cool. Dude, it's so hot. But that camera, that was so cool. And I got to use that as I took mock pictures and had another extra use it to take a picture of me with those banners.
Clever girl.
That was quite thrilling. That's the thing with these moments, these experiences. It's when when you're in the moment. That's what gives the quality of life. That's what's magical. Yeah, it's that experience.
That's why I wanted to talk to everybody for this whole project, really, is to kind of relive the feeling that you all had in that moment because I can just only imagine how special it was. It's like you're basically part of film history because I mean every film is part of film history once it's completed. That's it, it's in the can, as they call it, right? So no, I mean, especially with a big franchise like Jurassic.
What I would say to that is, you know, I'm the prop. I'm like the living prop from the movie. Yeah, that's right.
But that's a fun way of thinking about it. It's like, and that's how we got pushed around on set too. They just moved us around like props, right? Just plopped us wherever they want. So, Cody, were you a Jurassic Park fan before you became part of Jurassic World?
Yeah, I think Jurassic Park was definitely a huge part of my childhood. So I grew up watching that, and it was something that was so fascinating to me. So when I heard they were rebooting the series, I knew I had to be a part of it. So I was very excited to take on a little small role and be a background actor and to be on set and watch the magic happen again right there at Kualoa Ranch, where it all began many decades prior. So yeah, it was really exciting to be a part of that.
What was the process like to become an extra on that movie in particular? Because apparently people can't really just like fly in to be extras on Hawaiian sets. You have to be local, right?
Yeah, it's important that you are local to the island. That's one of the questions that they ask whenever they're picking people to work as background. I already had a relationship with the casting people, so they reached out to me and said, "Do you want to work on Jurassic World?" And I was like, "Of course. That's like the most amazing thing ever. I'd love to be a part of that." So yeah, so I had a relationship already built in there, and I got to work on the set for over a week, which was really fun. Every day, just out in the jungle, right there by the Indominus Rex enclosure on set at Kula Ranch, and yeah, we had a great time.
What was your role exactly for that?
So I was considered one of the Jurassic World construction workers. So they were obviously trying to build the enclosure bigger because Indominus Rex was growing much faster than expected. And it was the scene where Chris Pratt and the foreman are actually in the cage and can't find her, and then realize that she is in the cage with them. And the whole scene where they have to get out and they're trying to get out, and she first bites one of the, she devours one of the construction workers who I actually photo doubled for. So, meaning they used the back of me to shoot that scene when he was gone. So I stood there with Chris Pratt and the other foreman guy, and then I mean, Dominus Rex escapes from her enclosure, and all hell breaks loose. And it was a lot of fun just filming that. We just Colin Trevorrow, who was the director, did one take where he didn't prepare us for what was going to happen. So we're all just, I was actually like a contractor. So I had like my contractor vest on, had the plans, the blueprints, and everything, walking around checking in on all the workers. And then Colin Trevorrow yells out, he's like, "The dinosaur's out. What do you do?" So with no warning, we just all had to run into panic mode, and he just wanted to see what a real reaction would be. And they had like those little vehicles, and I just jumped in one of them and just took off. Like I wasn't even supposed to be driving it, but people jumped in with me, and we're just riding around on the set trying to escape this dinosaur that Colin announced had just escaped. So the reaction was pretty real because we didn't see it coming, and all of a sudden he's just like, "The dinosaur's out, run!" And yeah, that was our natural reaction. So it was pretty cool to be on that set. They did a lot of small details, which are really cool to be a part of. For example, just our name badges that we wore, we had to go into wardrobe in advance and get a photo taken so they could actually have our picture on the name badge instead of just a generic picture. It was our actual photo on our name badges. So that was pretty cool. I think I stole that little name badge afterwards. I think it's somewhere around here. I definitely did steal a patch from wardrobe though. I have one of the Jurassic World patches that I took off with.
Oh,
But
nice. I
yeah,
love it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to work on that set. And you talked about how, like, did I grow up with Jurassic Park? Of course I did. And, the classic scene where the water glass is shaking in between takes, we had those Jurassic Park vehicles on set where we would jump in to cool off because it was so hot out there. And I'd set my water bottle on the dash and kind of stomp and reenact the scene with the water shaking as the dinosaur approaches. So, yeah, there was a lot of nostalgia to being on this set and working in something that you grew up with that was, part of your childhood. That scene of us running around was an entire day. I mean, there was multiple days of filming because there was the construction vehicle that had to get lifted up and dropped. We had a helicopter landing. We had Chris Pratt underneath one of the vehicles covering himself with oil so the dinosaur didn't smell him. Yeah, it was multiple days with a full week of filming, and it was from sun up to sundown, just out in the jungle. And one minute we're escaping dinosaurs, and the next minute we're eating fettuccine alfredo and lobster at catering. So it was a weird juxtaposition of worlds, but we became a family, and we found little ways to entertain ourselves in between takes. Like you watch in the movie where Chris Pratt is literally underneath that car. Well, that was my favorite spot to cool off in between takes. When you see it on screen, I'm like, yep, I know that spot very well. I spent many hours laying underneath that car because in between takes, you just got to find some shade anywhere. And that's where we would go and lay out. So we were filming in April of 2014. And, so it's heading into those summer months, but, we don't really have any winter out here. So we just have like rainy season and dry seasons. But yeah, Kuloa Ranch, it's the jungle and it's hot and muggy all year round, and there's bugs. And, they just kind of clear cut a forest and threw up this enclosure, which, looks like a big cement enclosure, but it's just styrofoam with, plaster on top painted to look like it's cement. I know that Kuloa Ranch has tried to maintain it as best they can to show people that part of the set on their movie tours. But yeah, we spent at least a week out there just living in the jungle, hanging out, making friends, and chasing dinosaurs. I was kind of sad that, we're living in an era of no longer practical effects, but more CGI. So there was no actual real dinosaur that we ever saw on set because it was all placed in post. But they did bring a huge dinosaur foot to set to give us reference. So they were like, this is how big the dinosaur is. This is the foot. And it was this big white styrofoam foot. And they're like, for reference, this is the size. Yeah. And they did scenes where, the foreman gets pulled from the ground. He was on a crane and lifted him up into the air. And it was just cool to see Hollywood in action. And, I was new in the industry back then, and it definitely solidified my hopes and dreams of continuing to work in this industry, and I'm still at it 10 years later. So, yeah.
The foreman you mentioned, I don't know if everyone realized this, but he was actually one of the townspeople extras on Parks and Recreation, which was also a show starring, of course, Chris Pratt as Andy Dwyer, the lovable Andy Dwyer. So it's kind of funny that they actually got to share scenes in Jurassic World, a little Parks and Rec reunion, as it were.
What's funny is I didn't know who Chris Pratt was at the time because Guardians of the Galaxy hadn't dropped yet, and obviously he blew up with Jurassic World as well. And I'd never seen Parks and Rec. There's long takes in between, and I was placed next to him for a couple of scenes, and so during the long waits in between while they're setting up cameras, oftentimes, the celebrities would leave and go to a trailer or to a cooling van or something like that. But he was just hanging out. And so, yeah, we got to talk story a little bit and got to know him. And yeah, it's kind of cool to know that he, was down to earth kind of guy and telling me about living in Maui. And I told him about my days in Maui as well. So, yeah, it was interesting to meet him. Later on, when he blew up, I was like, whoa, okay, I know that guy. So that was kind of cool.
Well, and kind of inspiring that he came from the islands, right? And that, his career blossomed. So it's kind of like that could be you next, that's what's great.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Hollywood. You never know whose dreams it's gonna make next. So.
There's the Indominus Rex in that scene, but originally it was called the Diabolus Rex, apparently. Did you ever hear it referred that way while you were on set, or did they always refer to it as the Indominus?
Yeah, it actually was called the Diabolus Rex, and that's how they did refer to it when we were on set. So I don't know when they made that change, but yeah, so that was the original thing that we I remember hearing on set.
Yeah, it seemed like it to me too, because even watching that scene in the movie, it looks like there's some ADR there where their lips aren't quite matching when they say Indominus. It's like a little bit off in that scene in particular. But in the set pictures that we've seen, I guess behind the fake walls, there's the writing of D Rex, right? So that kind of confirms it even further that it was a change made at some point later on to be Indominus. So it's just really interesting. I wonder, I guess we'll never know why exactly.
Right. The powers that be who overthink everything in Hollywood and the men in the suits who make the decisions, who knows why. It was cool though being on set because Chris Pratt, his wife at the time, Anna Faris, came and brought their baby to set. So it was really cool to see her and their little baby. They were touring around, taking a look at the enclosure and everything. So
Oh, that's great. I mean, was there any other like fun or weird kind of things that happened on set or anything that was cut from the movie actually that you could remember?
well, I mean, there's a lot that's always gets cut. It seems like you overshoot and overshoot and overshoot, and you never, you'll work for a week and the whole scene lasts about, 30 seconds in the movie. But I was one of the few that got to go on the other side of the enclosure on the inside because I was photo doubling for the first construction worker who got killed. So yeah, so I'm actually in the scene, standing in, they're filming from behind, and I'm with Chris and that other foreman. And so it was cool to see like the padlock and where they press the button to try to close the cage and to be on the other side and to see how they, cleared the jungle and then placed the plants strategically to look like they've been growing. And I just really love the iconic vehicles with, the Jurassic logo on the side of it. And I too snuck some pictures while on set, which is a no-no, but I did it anyway. And now I have these lasting memories of my time as a Jurassic Park construction worker. And yeah, it's something that'll stay with me forever for sure.
Feel like especially like if you don't really quite share the pictures till after the movie's out, that is it's not really a big deal. It's fine. Because otherwise it's just gonna be lost forever, right? The lost world, if you will. So you don't
Yeah.
want that.
I know they were very active on social media about making sure nothing leaked. And one of the extras did post one of the pictures online. And somebody from production office said they were starting a lawsuit against him if he doesn't take it down immediately. So yeah, so they were quick to be following what was being posted about the film, and one of the extras I think got kicked out because he had a camera on him or something like that. So you got to be more sly than that. But it was a really incredible time. Good memories back in the day, 10 years ago. I can't believe that much time has flown by.
Yeah, you and me both. It's too crazy. But what was it like when you did see the movie? Like, how did you feel about it? And how did you feel when you saw yourself in it?
I mean, I was just a speck on the screen, but it was cool to see how weeks of work came together and culminated to that beautiful edit. And it was just exciting to see the dinosaur, the CGI dinosaur for the first time on screen. I was like, oh, that's what we were running from. That's what we were afraid of. That's what I jumped in that little vehicle and took off and almost ran over other extras. But always fun watching the Hollywood magic come to life on the big screen.
Did you ever try to be an extra on Fallen Kingdom? Because that was also filmed on Hawaii. They weren't looking for quite as many extras, but maybe they were trying to get like a mercenary for the East Dock or something. Like, who knows?
Yeah, no, I think I wasn't on island when that one was being filmed. I think I was working on another project, but I think I was happy with being part of the new reboot and having my time as the Jurassic World construction worker, the prestigious role that I've waited my whole life for.
What are some other notable projects you've done since Jurassic World? Because yeah, I've seen you've been in a lot of stuff since then. That's great.
I mean, all the productions that come to Hawaii I've been a part of, like Magnum PI, Hawaii Five-O. I did a movie with Amy Schumer called Snatched, a Hallmark movie called Two Tickets to Paradise. But I do a ton of commercials and yeah, just finished a Netflix series and Paramount Plus series. So some more fun things coming down the works. But yeah, it's been fun to think back on where it all began, being an extra, and now yeah, working a little bit higher up on the list is kind of fun too. But yeah, I knock out a commercial every other week, so they're not as exciting, but you know, it is exciting when I get those feature films or episodics. Those are always fun.
Oh yeah, all the work and exposure and everything. That's always good.
Yeah, I mean, money's money, and I went into this field because I love doing something different every day. So that's the good part of being an actor is, yeah, you get to try out all different things, all different careers, and just doing it all by playing pretend. So yeah, it's fun.
Hawaii was also the prime location for many of Jurassic World's sets that extras were not privy to. Owen Grady's bungalow was built there, where Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard filmed their quippy banter before heading off to the Indominus Rex paddock. Jurassic Park's old visitor center garage was also filmed in Hawaii, featuring several props from the original film, the classic Jeeps, and jungle vegetation overtaking the structure, matching the New Orleans Rotunda set. Damage from the Indominus Rex attack on this garage also occurred. The Cretaceous Cruise attraction and several more scenes were also filmed in the gorgeous landscape, away from public view. But in our final segment, we will hear stories about different Jurassic World Hawaii sets from the perspective of another extra who was part of a deleted scene. And in our concluding conversation, a special guest reveals one-of-a-kind images and footage that he captured from Jurassic World and its sequel, Fallen Kingdom.